Hey everybody, welcome back. This week we're going to discuss mommy issues, what they are specifically, and what you can do to overcome them. No. What are mommy issues? Well, a good indication of what mommy issues are is we call them mommy issues and not mom issues. It's when your mom has too much of a power in your life. You have not separated fully. You have not created your own identity apart from your mom, so you end up just taking on your mom's identity and start acting like her, or you act as a defense so you aren't like her, which ends up puts you in the same spot. I mean, there's really two causes of a young man having mommy issues. The one is when the mom is distant, because now maybe the mom isn't there, or not there psychologically, physically or psychologically, and he never really got nurtured in the way that a mom's supposed to nurture him, so he goes on being unable, in a sense, to nurture himself, being afraid of emotions, being afraid of emotional engagement, and this results in one kind of mommy issue. We'll get to it, but the other cause of mommy issues, probably more common, is the Oedipal mother. Right? This is the typical mother who's too enmeshed, who was too emotionally involved in your life, which was really good when you're 1 or 3, but not when you're 11 or 13 or 23 or 33 or even 53. You see cases, and the mother just is too emotionally involved in the son's life, helping him nurture himself in a sense when he needs to be learning how to nurture himself on his own, which is a good indication of what you need to do to overcome a mommy issue. We'll get to it. But these present in two very different ways. I mean, typically, there's really two kinds of symptoms when it comes to mommy issues. The one is an unconscious mommy issue, and the other is a more conscious mommy issue. The unconscious mommy issue is, typical of the stoic guy, the CBT guy, mindset training. Emotions don't matter. That's irrational. I'm just going to put that aside and be rational and focus on changing my thoughts. And I have this negative belief about myself. I'm just going to focus on that belief and change that. And I'm going to have an awesome belief about myself. And I'm going to go around, mindset training, right? And this is rigidity. This is rigidity as a defense against the power of emotions that you really feel emotions have, but you're just like too afraid to engage them. So you get really rigid. You're in a sense no fun. In paragraph 554 in Symbols of Transformation, Volume 5, the chapter is entitled Deliverance from the Mother, which is a great chapter if you want to learn more about mommy issues and what you can do to overcome them. A lot of great symbolism in this chapter, but Jung calls the man who is afraid of his emotions irritable. Yeah, he becomes irritable because of feelings of distrust and resentment, and because of these feelings of distrust and resentment, he becomes ever more rigid. Now, distrust and resentment about what? His own emotions, and also other people's emotions as a projection of his own emotions. Like never really being able to connect with a woman because he's just too emotionally tuned out. So that's one kind of mommy issue. Or that's one like cluster of symptoms when it comes to the mommy issue. The other cluster is the more conscious mommy issue. This is what we would typically think of when somebody has a mommy issue is, overly emotional. Emotional indulgence often presents as hysteria, inability to control. I don't want to say control emotions. That's really not a good way to put it, as I say, but maybe guide emotions. Not a good outlet for emotions or for your libidinal energy. And this is from paragraph 430, same section. It's actually some dialogue from Julius Caesar by Shakespeare. And Brutus accuses Cassius of stealing money, and Cassius kind of goes nuts and overreacts to Brutus's accusation. I'm not even sure if Brutus was accusing Cassius directly, but Cassius gets hysterical, and Brutus calls him out. He's like, well, you're this way because you're too attached to the mother. And Cassius goes, yeah, I got to separate from my mother. I'm still overly attached to her, indicating that, her emotional baggage I've kind of taken on, and I haven't been able to deal with myself. So I'm kind of acting out my mother's emotional life because I haven't fully separated from her, created my own boundaries. So, I just think it's interesting. People, both of these kinds of mommy issues, the conscious kind and the unconscious kind, it's both, it looks very different. That's the idea. It looks very different on the surface. And maybe if you put these two guys next to each other, the overly emotional guy who's, always going to his self-help retreats and doing like Iron John, mythopoetic men's movement kind of thing, that looks very different than the CBT stoic mindset training top down bro, but it's both the same cause. One guy is not aware of the power that emotions have in his life, but he kind of is, and he just wants to distract himself from that. And the other one is fully aware, and he just indulges in it without ever really coming out. And both these guys end up in the same place. For example, when a woman comes into their life, right? What happens? Both of these guys are going to, get thrown for a whirlwind when a woman comes into their life, because what does a woman do? It unlocks this emotional part of them, and it kind of freaks them out, which is a good indication of why the unconscious mommy issue guy was avoidant of his emotions in the first place. He kind of, in a sense, was able to detect the power of the emotion. So he just kind of, turns away from it. But yeah, they both end up in the same place. Now, what about, and also I just want to say, it's a good indication of a mommy issue is if you need to be told to put your mission in your life first. Right? That means that if you have the conscious mommy issue, that means, hey, you can't get too involved in the emotions. But if you have an unconscious mommy issue, that means what? That a woman, if she comes into your life, she's going to take a hold of you because you haven't managed your emotions. So both of these guys need to be told the same thing. Hey, put your mission first. However, if you just manage your emotions in a healthy way, we'll get to it, then you'll naturally want to put your mission first. Nobody has to tell you to do that. It's like telling you to tie your shoes. Of course I'm going to tie my shoes. It's just the natural state of things when you know how to manage your emotions, when you know how to tie your shoes. I'll just make an aside here. I'll get to this next week. What about women and a mommy issue? Well, I think with women, we'll deal more with daddy issues. I'll get to that next week. But I do think it's interesting. I actually got this question from a listener on the podcast a little bit ago. I do think it's interesting that most Disney princesses, I thought of Snow White, Belle, Ariel, Jasmine, those are from my time. Most Disney princesses don't have a mom. The mom is not in the picture. And I wonder what that could be exaggerating, or what element of light that could be exaggerating in the princess's development. We'll get to that next week. But everything that I said here about a man and his mommy issues can also be applied to a woman and whatever mommy issues she has, but we'll get to specifically daddy issues in the next video next week. So the real question is how to separate from your mother. Well, the first thing to do is you need to stop hiding from her. So often we hide who we really are. We hide what we're really thinking and what we're really feeling around our mom, because why? You don't want to hurt her feelings. Well, I think this needs to happen. And, a great scene from a great movie, mid-90s, is that I brought up before, I think, on the podcast, is when the kid, the main character in the film, he gets up on the seat, the passenger seat in the van, and he's screaming at his mom. And he's just screaming at her. Like, you look at that from the outside, what a terrible thing. But as a psychologist, I look at that and I think, wow, yeah, that's what you need to do to separate from your mom. You have to make her cry, in a sense. You have to make her feel that pain of seeing you for who you really are. But we don't want to make her feel bad because, we think we're being nice. But really what we're doing is we're not separating. We're not creating our own identity. We're, in a sense, stuck in Act 1 of a 5 or 6 act movie. So build your own boundary, healthy integration of emotions, specifically. What is the mothering energy? What is that nurturing energy? That's what you need to do for yourself. I would argue that is your anger. I mean, we wouldn't think of managing anger as a motherly energy, but I think when you do manage anger in a proper way, when you do assert your needs, when you do get your needs met, that is, in a sense, mothering yourself. So to separate from the mother, you need to get angry. I mean, what does the hero do in the belly of the whale? As symbolized, of course, by the mother. How does the hero get out? Well, commonly how he gets out is he lights a fire. Right? What emotion is fire linked to, of course? Or what does fire symbolize? Anger. You're enveloped. You're in this dank, deep, belly of the whale of the unconscious. And in order to get out, you need to get pissed. You need to integrate your anger, and that's what we do here at Animus. We teach you how to integrate your anger specifically. I know I talked about Jung and The fault with him is he may get a little too woo-boo at times, may get a little bit too Sedona, but we've really broken down what anger is specifically, what emotions are, but specifically with mommy issues, what anger is, how to manage it, what decisions to make with anger, how to talk about anger, how to integrate it in your life in a healthy way so you can go on to become your own man and then naturally put your own life, your own mission first. We do free consultations, animusempire.com/schedule. I will leave it there. Please like and subscribe. Tell one friend. And always remember that when it comes to separating from the mother, you have to first develop the mother within.